Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. And in this video I'm going to be talking about how I got to 700k so freaking quickly on my archer, because I'm pretty sure a certain amount of you already know. For the most part, I've been maining in the Lancer for the longest time. I've never really even thought about archer. Archer in fact was my weakest class for the longest time being, and getting to 700k is kind of, you know, fishy, odd, and all that funky jazz and what's so not. So yeah, I actually only started maining archer a couple months ago. I decided I was going to, and what's so not. So I'm here to share with you how I got there, because I'm not as well as you think. I'm paid to win, but I'm not as well as you think. I don't want to make you think, I don't want to leave you hanging like, oh yeah, I will for this, I will for that, I will for everything in the Unison League and all that, because that's not how I actually do it. I use the spawning technique, or not a spawning technique, but a technique of choosing, and I use methods to actually get to 700k so freaking quickly. And I'm not gonna lie, some of it was actually luck. So anyways, let's get onto it. Okay, so the first thing I recommend for anybody, especially if you start this off, is don't really worry about classes all too much. What I do is, like, weapons are, you might get weapons randomly, right? But weapons are more controlled, and armors are absolutely controlled. Well, not absolutely 100% controlled, but armors go for any class, so armors are pretty easy topic to talk about. Weapons can be controlled though. Two methods is treasure spawns and class spawns, but monsters not controlled whatsoever. Seriously, you either have the option to do an overpriced treasure, divine grace, box spawn, whatever they come out with, share bonus, any of those types of pay to win spawns, and get the summoning scroll itself. Or you have the option to do cheaper spawns like step ups, SSR featured gear pieces, and monster spawns, but they're going to be of completely, absolutely, completely random stats. You are not guaranteed the stats that you want at all. So to counterbalance that, what I would recommend doing is up to 300k, look at the gear you're getting, especially the monsters, because the monsters, you can't control the stats you're getting. You can control the weapons you're getting through the class spawn and the treasure spawn, but monsters are not going to be controlled if you're getting them for cheap. So look at the monsters you are getting, and whatever stat you're getting is probably the class you want to play as you trying to get the highest gear score possible. Archer and mages are actually my best go with the flow stats for my monsters that I'm actually getting. So it's pretty easy for me if I were to do mage or archer, because archer and mage is the #1 stuff I'm actually getting when it comes to stats. Completely seriously, like, absolutely, I'm getting archer stuff more than anything, and mage stuff. I have gotten a few lancer stuff here and there, but for the most part, lancer stuff is pretty scarce. Actually, a decent amount of the monsters I've actually gotten from my lancer are controlled. Ban over here is controlled. King over here is controlled. I'm pretty sure this Miko only comes in attack and defense. Odin I actually got luckily in attack and defense. I actually had to get Aquarius' summoning scroll, and Gremory I kind of got lucky. So as you can see right there, 3 of these monsters are actually completely controlled out of all these monsters I have, and some of them are even outdated on my Lancer and all that funky jazz, as you can see right there. So I wasn't very lucky on my Lancer, to be honest, in the first place. All these monsters you see nearly on my archer, except for the last one, because it's free to play, and that's one of the actual, like, proofs I have that I'm not as well as you think. I legitimately have a free to play monster all the way in the back, and I don't even have it fully awakened. I don't even have it fully awakened. So yeah, as you can see right there, besides that one and this one right here, all the other monsters are legitimately, I actually got randomly as archer stats. So I was already able to go with the flow as an archer before I even became an archer, and because of that, I actually had some easy steps to actually do before I actually went there. In fact, I have a Napoleon right here that's also archer stats. If I had awakening for it, I could just attach it, and I legitimately would be good to go, and I literally would have even more gear score than I have right now. So yeah, I could replace that summoning scroll. That summoning scroll doesn't matter whatsoever, and I do have some summoning scroll monsters, but the only ones I really will for are this one for the 10k medals, and then Q right down here when she first came out for the divine grace. Aquarius was really discounted at a treasure spawn. I legitimately with 60 gems got 4k medals, so yeah, pretty easy stuff right there. Horus was actually another summoning scroll I got, but it was a share bonus, and I only needed to do it for the first time for 45 gems. And Kumba Hero I actually got from the jackpot. Instead of being able to get, I was trying to get the jackpot because I already had the weapon, I just need the armor and I didn't have enough to get the armor sadly, but in exchange I got Kumbahira. When that chest opened, I'm not gonna lie, I was having a hard time breathing and I was jumping up and down because I actually found out how OP this monster is for guild battles at least. So yeah, that's pretty much my background and what's so not when it comes to my monsters and all that funky jazz. So anyways, yeah, weapons are controlled, and I'm actually going to talk about it right now, how I actually got my weapons and what's so not at the cost and what's so not that I actually got them on. I'm pretty much going to be teaching you the technique that you need to know to actually get these weapons at 35 cost as quick as possible. The pay to win method. I'm going to do a free to play method at the very end of this video, but I'm going to do the pay to win method first, and here is the pay to win method. Okay, so with the pay to win method, all you gotta do is when they come out with a normal treasure spawn, the first thing you obviously want to do is look at the metal exchange and see if they have good armors and weapons in them. If they do, then all you gotta do is spawn it and buy normal. I'm talking like 700 in the jackpot, and then they have like 400 in one of the side chests and 200 in one of the side chests. And then when you get to 1,900, you literally just go here and exchange it. That's literally all you gotta do. Sometimes they have 35 costs. When they do the treasure spawn, get 1,900 medals, and then go exchange it. It's going to be a weapon of your class, guaranteed, and it's going to be the highest cost guaranteed. You won't have fusions unlike the class spawn, but other than infusions, you're pretty much having a good deal. 35 costs and a weapon of your choice. That's pretty much all you gotta do. That's what I did for this bow right here, and that's what I did for this bow right here. This bow I actually got randomly, so I'm pretty lucky about it. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. I'm pretty much gonna be replacing all my bows using that technique that I don't need. Like this one right here, this one right here. Even though it's got Fatal Testament Double XL, I have another one that's actually a higher cost. So yeah, I'm going to be replacing those bows, and I might even replace the 33 cost one right here if I can manage to get another 35 cost. That's actually pretty dang useful and what's so not. So yeah, as you can see right there, that's pretty much the method I'm using when it comes to weapons. When it comes to monsters, I'm actually using 4 different techniques when it comes to monsters, because monsters are a bit of, again, they're harder to control and what's so not, and they're actually, I would say harder to get. Well, yeah, I'd say harder to get. They're harder to get. The only way you get them easy is through 3 spawns, and I actually have 4 methods, 3 of those being the spawns. The first one, by far, absolutely the first one, is the monster spawn. Monster spawn is highly recommended, especially for 70 gems. There is no spawn right now in the game that guarantees a 34 cost or higher at all. Seriously, this is the only spawn that guarantees a 34 cost monster or higher. SSR feature gear piece has high rates for 34s and 35s, but it doesn't guarantee a monster, and then the step up only guarantees a 33 cost monster, and that's usually what people get. So this is the only one that guarantees a 34 cost monster or higher, and that's not the end of it. They also guarantee to have 2 full pots. So that means if you get the right stats, you can skip the awakening orbs, and if you get the wrong stats, you could skip the awakening material completely. Because when you get these free to play, not free to play, pay to win monsters, you only need to awaken them 3 times to get their stats, and then you're pretty much good from there. And legitimately, if you get the wrong stats, you can awaken it using that monster, and the 2 pots are going to carry over, plus you're getting a bonus for awakening a monster in the first place. So that's free. That's 3. That's straight up 3. You don't have to worry about awakening material again if you get the wrong stats. And if you do, then you only have to awaken once and use 1 orb instead of 3 orbs and get 3 materials, and you're good to go. And it's so freaking cheap. There's so much utility here. Not only are you guaranteed a 34 or 35 cost, you will get awakening twice, and it's for 70 gems. It's literally cheaper. It's literally cheaper than the class spawn, and ironically, the class spawn offers weapons and armors, which are a lot easier to get than monsters. This is legitimately the definition of illegal rob and steal from A-Team. Legitimately, like, this is legitimately a steal, a rob. You definitely want to do this if you can. These monster spawns are currents. They keep coming and going. You don't have to worry too much, at least for the most time. At least for, like, right now, at least I could say. You don't have to worry about them not being here, coming here once, and then not being here at all. They're reoccurring, so you will see it again eventually. Just save up gems for when they come out again. And what if you save up too many gems and all that? Then you get to spawn multiple times. Joke's on them for not coming out with it right away. You get to spawn multiple times. So save up gems for the monster spawn. That's pretty much what I'm doing. And then sometimes you can do the step up. Sometimes you can do the SSR feature gear piece. The SSR feature gear piece also offers 34, 35 guaranteed. This is pretty much how I got my stuff and what I'm working with and all that. Okay, so Sphinx, Cleopatra, over here, and Romeo over here. All of them in their awakening came from the step up. Cowgirl Tequila came from the SSR feature gear piece. Her awakening came from the monster. Kyra actually came from the step up, but her awakening came from the monster as well. All of their awakening came from the monster. All the 33 costs you see here and their awakening came from the step up. And then DJ Himiko actually came from the Black Friday monster spawn. Her awakening, one of her awakenings actually came from the SSR feature gear piece. The rest of the awakenings, which I really recommend, if you have 35 costs and you're trying to awaken them, do the awakening new pack if you can, because it's a 35 awakening new, and on top of it you're getting 40 gems, and on top of it you're getting half an ether. Okay, so yeah, over here instead, if you want to use the same price, you could get 90 gems, and 90 gems is only enough to do 2 step-up spawns and 3 SSR guaranteed features. Tell me, within 2 step-up spawns, do you think you're going to be able to get a 35 cost monster? Let me answer that for you. Most of you out there, no, you're not going to be able to, or 36 cost, and even if you do, some 35s to this day don't have awakening. SSR feature gear piece is no different. You will have high rates on 34s, you will have high rates on 35s, definitely. I'd say more rates on the 34s than the 35s. You do definitely have high rates on the 35s. So you do have a fair chance to get a 35 or 34 costs. But let me tell you, a lot of the 35 costs they have that are guaranteed within the list of the SSR feature gear piece don't have awakenings yet. So even if I did that, which is a good deal still, and I do have a high chance to get 35 cost monster, not a majority of them, but at least a decent amount of them don't have awakenings. So even if I did them, I have a pretty high chance to get a monster that doesn't even have awakening yet. So my best bet was the awakening news after that. One of the awakenings did come from the SSR feature gear piece. The rest of them came from awakening news. So that's the process I use for DJ Himiko, and that's pretty much how I got to 700k, and that's the tips I could teach you as the pay to win. The armors! I think I forgot about the armors. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, if you haven't seen yet me talk about the armors for the whole set, armors are not really too worrisome. I do have some 36 cost here, which is boosting my gear score, and then I got some infused. As you can see right there, this comes from the class spawn. Really, when it comes to armors, you only gotta really do 2 things if you really want top-notch armors, just in case you're like a rook or a tanky soldier or a tanky treasure hunter or a tanky cleric at all. Is the first was the class spawn. Class spawn's the free-to-play version, and then you can do the treasure spawn. If not treasure spawn, all you gotta do, same method as weapons, legitimately spawn the normal treasure spawn, and then in the metal exchange for 1,900 gems, go for that 36 cost armor, whether it's defense or magic defense that you need. Go for that 36 cost armor and you're legitimately set. That's all you gotta do. And the last thing about the armors would be, I don't really need them. If you're DPS class, you don't really need all too much defense. 120k defense will do. When it comes to player versus enemy, besides that 120k defense and magic defense, all you need is high element for most player versus enemies. Then for player versus player, you just proc nulls. Throw on your nullifies, throw on your elevations being your gear from the Crystal Sacred Altar, and yeah, watch those procs fly. That's really all you gotta do. You only need a defense to a certain extent, and it's really an extent that anybody can get if they have 32 cost armors or higher, and they can attach a few. So that's not too worrisome, that really isn't. And for the free-to-play version of how you can get gear score as quickly as I did, not as much as I did, but quickly, nearly as I did, and phenomenally increase in gear score, is you need to ask yourself 2 questions. Of course, if you're a rook, it's going to be armor instead of the weapons, but anyways, do you need more weapons, or do you need more monsters? If you need more weapons, then I recommend doing the class spawn. The class spawn is 33 cost guaranteed with 4 infusions. The 4 infusions is pretty dang expensive. If you go to the recommended pack right here, it literally costs what's the recommended pack? Do they have it? It doesn't look like, okay, they do. Right here, if you're looking for the cheapest price to get multiple ethers, it's the 37 pack right here for 3 ethers. And let me tell you, that's a lot, because literally it could take 1 infusion. If you don't have the right cost, literally infusing once can literally cost 3 ethers, and that's literally $37. What? I can instead, for 90 gems, do the same thing and do the class spawn, and it will be guaranteed to have 4 infusions. What? So yeah, as you can see right there, class spawn is the cheapest choice. Legitimately, 80 gems, guaranteed to be the weapon of your class. It's going to be 33 cost or higher guaranteed, and on top of it's going to have 4 infusions, so that's a really, really good deal. If you need to really hear more about me talk about infusion and all that, where you get the infusions, the awakenings and all that. I have it in the link below. I'm not going to really talk about it so I can make this video as short as possible. But yeah, stick with the special spawns, first time half off ether, and only do that. The ether droplet first time half off, because you're free to play. I know how it feels to be free to play. I used to be free to play before I hit 500k as a Lancer. And it was alright for a certain amount of time. Then my luck killed me so bad, I just couldn't be free to play anymore. I couldn't. It was really bad. Like, really bad. But yeah, I know how it feels to be free to play. Like, you're only getting a certain amount of gems for a certain amount of time. Like, your gem count is going to be time locked. And sometimes it's not even fair, to be fairly honest. Like, you might get like 10, 15 gems per week, and that's legitimately it, unless they have like special missions or events going out and all that. And that's literally where you're going to be getting most of your gems from and how much you're getting. So I know how it feels, especially when you spawn and you don't get nothing in return. This is a guaranteed way you're going to get stuff, and on top of it, it's going to be near up to date. It's going to be a few steps behind the up to date stuff. So that's what you want to do, is first time half off for the ethers, and only the first time half off. Don't do it for the 30 gems. And then the other thing you want to spawn is the class spawn. Rinse and repeat. Spawn those two, rinse and repeat. Spawn those two, rinse and repeat. The reason you want to go for the ethers is if you want to, if you use it to the 5th level, you can, because you have enough ethers. That's the point in the first time half off for the ethers for the special spawn. Other than that, do the class spawn. Rinse and repeat, do the class spawn. And ignore all that other stuff out there. You might see people getting jackpots for the summoning scrolls with the treasure and divine grace spawn, but for a majority of the people that actually do them, they come out empty-handed, or they have to get 10k medals to actually obtain the summoning scroll. So please don't fall for that. That's a trap. Don't do the monster spawn. Don't do the step up spawn. Don't do the special spawn for the SSR feature gear piece. You should ignore the awakening orb, probably, but ignore all the spawns. Box spawn, treasure, divine grace, everything. The only things that matter is the first time half off for the ethers and then the class spawn. If you need more monsters, I would highly recommend, you can do the SSR feature gear piece for the first time half off and the awakening, or first time half off and rinse repeat, but I would highly recommend to do the 70 gem monster spawn right here. All the spawns I'm talking about, the special spawn, the class spawn, the monster spawn, they're all reoccurring spawns. They're going to come back. And if they don't come back ASAP, then they're going to come back eventually. And the longer you have to wait for them to come back, the more gems you could save up. So if you have to spawn them, when they come back, you're going to have more gems to spawn with. So it's a plus. It's jokes on them for making you wait, right? Seriously, like... So don't worry about them being gone for too long. You're free to play. You need that time to actually collect those gems to actually spawn in the first place. That's a good thing. So yes, what I would do is you can go for the SSR feature gear piece only for the first time half off if you want. But I recommend doing the 70 gem monster spawn and doing the first time half off awakening orb, the special spawn, rinse and repeat. Do the same process, rinse and repeat. Do the same process, rinse and repeat, until you get what you need. You can alternate if you have too many awakened monsters from the monster spawn from here to the SSR feature gear piece instead, because they do have high rates for 34 35 costs. But that's pretty much what I really recommend and all that funky jazz. So yeah, that's my guide on how I got the highest, like as high as gear score as I did, as quickly as I did. As you can see there, my proof, I'm not extreme super well. I did pay to win, definitely, but I'm not no super well to do that. And I even offered you a free to play guide on how you could reach and round my gear score as well. Thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped out. This is the Azrath, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.